the godfather to, I think her name is Paige, the girl from I'm sorry if you're hearing that in the background. That's my son. I'm trying to do this in the room with the door closed, but this thing is picking up really well. But DMX, he is the godfather of the girl from Everybody Hates Chris, the light skinned one. I forget what her name is, but I think her name is Paige Hurd. Fun fact for the podcast. But what happened to him? What's happening to just stuff in general in Hollywood, in the famous world of everything? Because guess what? The guy from Ren and Stimpy, the guy who created Ren and Stimpy, guess what? Figured out he's diddling kids, or maybe not diddling kids, or he's grooming kids to be sex slave type people. I don't know, like R. Kelly was doing. But, it's... I don't know what's going on. I don't know. He's been accused of assault and harassment. Allegedly. Had relationships with 2 teenage girls, one of whom he allegedly slept with for years, according to a new story by BuzzFeed. John Crickfalusi. And then on top of that, we get to find out also this week that Dan Schneider might be doing some of this stuff. What is it in the brain, I guess, of a man to be like, I have this position, I have this power, I'm just going to take advantage of it, see how far I can go. I'm pretty sure that's how it starts. They start off with just one little thing here or there, like I'll do this, I'll do that, and then it gradually builds to a point where their ego and their confidence is so high that they're just like, you know what, I'm going to go up to this young person, and I'm going to take advantage of them. I don't know. Because, it says they abruptly ended their partnership with him. But, I think we all know what that... they wouldn't have just ended it with this guy all of a sudden. Because let's think iCarly. He brought us iCarly, all that. Kenan and Kel. I think he did Big Fat Liar, which is one of my favorite movies, but he's got allegations of abuse. He had like a temper or something like that. He was abusing these kids, which is fucking why? The kids, I don't get it. Let's see. Good Burger, iParty, Victorious, Better Off Dead, Big Fat Liar, Happy Together, never heard of that one. Drake and Josh, Zoe 101. Like, he did so many things. Like, so many shows. Henry Danger, Sam and Cat, Game Shakers, The Amanda Show, What I Like, never heard of that one. Home Free. Like, he did so much. And then, what I'm really waiting for now is, since the allegations came out against him, who's going to be the first person to step up and be like, yeah, that's true. He did it. Because there's always one. Once it starts, one person's going to come out and be like, yeah, it's true. It happened. It's a real thing. That's, I don't get it. You got these shows, they're all doing good. You know what I'm saying? Why ruin it? Why even put that out there to come back to you? I swear, man, the internet's just it's a terrible place, because now we have to see all of these things constantly. There's more negativity on the internet than there is positivity, and it's just a constant barrage of horrible things. You know what I'm saying? Like, the internet has ruined everything, because Dan Schneider, John Crickfalusi, DMX, Corey Feldman, R. Kelly grooming these sex pets in his sex dungeon. It's so much all the time, every day. And then for every 5 horrible things that you see, you only see one good one. Only one good thing. You know what I mean? And you can just slander anybody on the internet. Like I mentioned earlier, they're saying, Leah Michelle doesn't know how to doesn't know how to read. What? Who? Who's the person who thought that up? You know what I mean? Who's the person who was like, yeah? Who was the guy who was sitting there at their house, guy or girl, sitting there at their house, and they just said, you know what? I'm kind of bored. You know what I feel like doing? Talking some shit about Leah Michelle. But I heard some things about her too, that she's not exactly the nicest person. She wasn't exactly the nicest person. See, yet again, internet comes at you saying Leah Michelle, or was it Naya Rivera? I've heard both. I've heard things about both of them, but it says there's a rumor float around that she can't read or write, and of course, it's from the theory. Basically, came together after three things. Interesting lines from "Sorry Not Sorry" by Naya Rivera. Of course, she didn't have to read music. She would just hear a song and then record it on Glee. Who is putting these out? Who's putting this stuff out? You know what I mean? Like, who has the time for stuff like this? To just sit down and start a new rumor. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna start. It's like on Family Guy when what was it? The Stewie thing. The Stewie's special episodes where they were tied up by Stewie, and they said they were just going to start a rumor about Rob Schneider. I feel like that's how it has to start. A couple people sitting in their living room drinking natty ices, and they're like, you know what? Let's start a rumor about Ice-T. Ice-T likes to have peanut butter licked from between his toes or something like that. That hits me on two levels because A, I'm allergic to peanut butter, and B, I don't like feet. Feet are gross, they're smelly, they're gross, they're smelly, gross. They're gross and smelly. They're just gross and smelly. Sorry. But, last thing I guess that I want to talk about today is the last thing I want to talk about today is the Howard University debacle, I guess. That I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but there was a Howard University student who was caught along with, I guess, 5 or 6 other people for embezzling, I guess, almost $500,000 from the University of Howard. So Tyrone Hakerson, 25, from Atlanta, Georgia, he said, or someone alleged, that he received more than $400,000 in financial aid during his time as a student employee in the school's financial aid office. What? Almost $500,000? That is. And then here's a quote from him. Quote, "That is not true. I received over $200,000 for the 4 years I was an undergrad at Howard, but that wasn't just a traditional schedule. I also went to summer school and also had opportunities to study abroad. I did not receive any award that was labeled something when I was actually not entitled to it." He was not helping his case, because if you don't know, this Negro was on the gram, like, showing out to the fullest, like to the fullest. He had on his Gucci and his Prada and his, I don't know any other brands than that. I don't know any other famous, Givenchy, Givenchy. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say it like I'm going to Paris week. Givenchy.
First of all, what's Paris week?
Paris week?
You mean Paris Fashion Week?
That's the people. They know. Y'all know what I meant.
Okay. Also, What's wrong with saying it the way it's supposed to be pronounced?
Because am I the king of
England?
England? Am I the king of England over here?
To pronounce it the way it's supposed to be pronounced, that's the name.
Givenchy.
It's not Givenchy.
Yeah, let me go get some of my Prada and some of my Givenchy.
Givenchy.
I'm going to say Givenchy because that's how I want to say it. That's my right as an American.
That sounds terrible. And I want you to know.
Because, I mean, this man...
You should be ashamed.
Why?
How are you going to be like, well, that doesn't sound right to me, so I'm just going to say it the American
I'm going to say it the way I want to say it. I'm going to say Givenchy.
There's a name in this country for people like that.
What?
I won't say it out loud.
Go ahead and say it. Niggas?
No. The exact opposite, in fact.
Prudes?
No.
White folks? You said the opposite of niggas, so the opposite. You said the opposite. So what's the opposite?
Dante, you can't just be like, well, this is America, so I'm going to say it the American way.
I'm not saying...
Givenchy is not even an American name.
I'm not saying I'm going to say it the American way. I'm just going to say it the way I feel like saying it, which is Givenchy.
But you said exactly that, though.
Givenchy?
No.
It's my right to say things the way I want to say them. Okay? I'm going to say Givenchy. If the owner of Givenchy happens to listen to this podcast and he wants to address me directly about this, hey, bruh, come see me. You know where I'm at.
Speak English.
Okay?
Right?
I'm down here in Waldorf, Maryland, which isn't that far from D.C., no matter what people tell you. I'm in here in Waldorf, Maryland. If I want to say Givenchy, guess what? It's Givenchy.
But you're saying it wrong, and you know you're wrong.
Why? Why is that wrong?
Because
Why is it so wrong that I want to say Givenchy instead of Givenchy?
It was the dude's name.
That don't mean nothing to me. I'm not taking away from his clothing line or makeup or fragrance. Huh?
Okay, Dante.
Okay. See, that don't bother me as much as if I bother you.
Dante Chelsea.
Hey, I've heard it my entire life. People Chelsea, Cheesley, Chesky.
Chesky.
I've heard it my whole life. That stuff don't bother me. But for some reason, it bothers you a bunch when I don't say these names right.
Because it's somebody's name.
These niggas out here got millions of dollars. They ain't worried about little old me saying the name wrong.
I know, but I'm not even talking about because they're like rich people. If you know somebody's name, use it.
I'm saying it, Givenchy.
Okay.
But back to this dude. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't helping his case before I was interrupted by my paramour because, you know, I'm saying incorrect words. But this dude's out here flexing on the gram, you know, in his, I guess, this joint looks like $100,000 Snufflupagus Coat. If I'm being real with you, it looks like he killed and skinned Snufflupagus and then put this joint on his back. You know, mink coat, designer bag. He finessed. Let's be real. This fool finessed Howard out of some money. They wouldn't have fired him if they didn't have records, they didn't have documents saying that this fool took all this money. Let's be real. The dude took the money. He came on TV One with Roland Martin and talked himself in a circle, talking about, you know, he got this, he got that. Well, why didn't anybody else get it? How come he's the only one who got preferential treatment? Because if it was me and I send my kids to Howard and then I get a note from this fool, he actually sent out notes, emails to students asking about financial aid and was like, nah, we don't have the money. We don't have the money to finance, you know, to finance you so that you can go to school here at Howard. Sorry. If that's me, I'm finding Tyrone Hankerson. I'm like, look, you about to return that Snufflupagus jacket, and you about to give me some of this money. We had to scratch and save and scrimp all of these pennies and these coins to try to send my kid to get a better education. And you out here and you taking the money? There's no more money because you took the money? Huh? You didn't get fired for nothing. You didn't get in trouble for nothing. That's like when a kid comes home and then they get in trouble by the teacher and they say, you know, it wasn't that